Timer took no time at all to count down, so let's get back on with it. It's Avorion. Why would it not be Avorion? It's all I can think about. Normally I sleep very soundly. But last night, I was lying there in bed thinking, God, this is comfy, and I'm so tired, time to sleep, but no. Mind was just thinking about Avorion. So it wasn't very restful, and I'm very tired. So the obvious cure for the situation is to play yet more Avorion. European speedrun starts today as well, so it also means once I've finally packed my brain with Avorion today, I can go and enjoy some relaxing European speedruns. Now, where were we and what's going on? I make myself little to-do lists and our checklist for the perfect Hansa. These are the goals that we have set out for ourselves. We're about halfway through the milestones. We're exactly halfway through the milestones. How lovely. We have 9 of the legendary modules, one of them, well actually rather 8 of them being the story ones, and they're kind of easy to get. 1% of the universe has been charted fully. I don't know how many factions there are, but we've allied one of them. The less said about resources, the better. I've yet to get that monolithic statue of Chefron, but I've also not reached the centre of the galaxy. And the production chains. Long way to go there. What are we doing today? According to previous Jake, quick check on what comes in there. According to Jake of the past, we need to pillage, enhance our cargo escort, build up mines, steal research data, find more places to get research data, and get carriers for my miners. That is the goal today. Shouldn't be too tricky, right? A lot of it is just resource acquisition, and we are actively working on that, just like I'm actively exploring here. So, what and where do we go with all this? Well, one thing is I'm not very satisfied with my escort right here, the trader tanks. I mean, it's big and ugly, and it just doesn't handle well, and it cannot keep up whatsoever, which is why after yesterday's stream finished, I just loaded the game straight up and designed something else. The problem with something else is that it uses a lot of trinium, more than I have, but one mining operation should get me the trinium that I need for that, and it already contains the titanium in the current build that it needs for it. So once I have that, I'm going to use this instead. Is there a way to see its stats? It shows cost difference, sure, but I could have sworn there was a way to check the stats on the ship that you're looking at. Anyway, it's considerably faster and more agile. It's just basically cargo, engine, a lot of framework for additional modules, some basic shields, thrusters, just a big floating cargo bay to grab everything, whilst not being as hideous as this and actually being somewhat maneuverable due to its shape. So yeah, it's a giant USB stick, why not? So the goal is to switch this out with that, and then it'll be able to follow me around and do better. So I will do that once I have the resources with which to do it. For now though, it's a shame there's no more Rift research places to blow up, because I really want more Rift research data. But we haven't found many rifts out here in the iron sector, have we? So that's a little out of the question. What I'm probably going to do with you then, assuming that you don't have loads of junk in your cargo, you don't really, I will for now send you back to, I should probably consider where I'm wanting to raid. I could certainly pillage these guys a whole lot. Steel factories, power plants, yeah. So how about I take you away to somewhere that has a shipyard and an equipment dock. Probably better to check for equipment docks, those feel somewhat rarer, and they usually have shipyards with them. There we go, equipment dock and shipyard and a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm going to send you over there, and then I will continue to use Dokare, and I will slap one of my beloved temporary pregnant bellies underneath you. Where are you? There we go. And then you will continue to do the harvesting. It's going to be a big chunky iron. Well, actually no, I've got trinium. I could slap on a trinium one. It's a very nice thing about this game that your hold that thought. That your additions to the ship are nice and fully refunded whenever you realize you've made a mistake, or you just want to change things back. So let's just, oh god, well I'm out of trinium for this already, but that should be plenty of cargo bay to grab some stuff. Take these, mulch them together, use the extra subsystem slot that I got to grab a cargo bay extender, preferably a multiplier one. That one's not great, but it's good enough. The flying warehouse must have most of them. So 150,000 cargo hold for you, and I know you've got plenty of guns, and now I know that you don't have plenty of crew. Well, you almost have plenty of crew. Do we not have more that we could pick up here? You got any people willing to work for me? Of course you do. Cargo bit's made of trinium, so I'm still somewhat maneuverable. Lightest material in the galaxy, after all. If you had to give a very rough estimate, how many hours do you think it'll take to reach perfect space Hansa from this point on? I think about 100 hours of playtime, plus maybe another 100 hours of the game just idling. There'll be a combination of the two. I think I'll leave the game idling when there's when things are set up, and it's mostly resource acquisition before a big grind. But I haven't left it idling yet, and I'd rather not do that for a while, because the problem with this game and idling is that you can just set up a very small basic amount of something and then just leave the game running for like 100 hours, and then you have immeasurable amounts of resources for very little risk. So whilst I do want to do that for some of the late game stuff, I don't want to do it right now. Does that sound like a satisfactory answer? Probably not. Didn't have much time to think about what I'd make of that. Alright, tanks is back there. Whilst you're actually there, would you mind refining the goods that you have? How long is that even going to take? 11 minutes to get all that? Yeah, go for it. As for you, to care, I want you to... Ooh, there's a research... There should be a research station nearby. Not a rift research, but a regular research station. That's a rift one. That's the enemy's ones. I do want to go to a research station and get myself a better companion app, so I've got a better loot range. There's a chance it won't work for me, though. Maybe I shouldn't take the risk just yet, but maybe I certainly should blow these people up. Scrapyards, travel hubs. I've been bullying these people quite a lot, and they've kind of run out of good stuff for me to take, haven't they? Mines are unpleasant. Plastic manufacturer, turret factories. Oh yeah, that's a lot more like it. So, well, what the hell's that? Okay, a bunch of pirates just coming in, immediately getting murked, and that's a great way for me to make better friends around here. There we go. Not only that, the loot comes to me. And I get paid money for that. Splendid. Thank you for defeating those pirates. You have our endless gratitude. Something I'm going to have to put at least a little bit of thought into is into the late game, how in the world am I going to ally or destroy every faction? There are lots of them, and whilst you can get a lot of relations through paying tribute and doing trade with them, it only goes up to a certain amount, and then the rest you have to get through pretty much just helping them with pirates, I think. So I'm going to have to explode the game and find the best way to do that. Unfortunately, I've kind of pinned myself to the promise to do that. I set the goals for the perfect Hansa. I can add to them, sure, but I certainly wouldn't be caught dead taking away from them. Right, since I know that I really want these accursed rift thingers, why don't I try and find more rifts? Sadly, it's hard to look on the map where the rifts are. But, how about we start here and look for more rifts? I know, my tour explorers are always thrown back and forth in the hunt for rift research centers. Alright, Dakar, let's get to work. I need money. I need money for my industry. And then my industry will make me money. A wonderful mix. You get rep for missions done as well. Yeah, but as you said right there, the missions are kind of meh. Feels good to have some actual firepower though, these stations in Trinium Valley here. And we're even quite deep into Trinium Valley, are blowing up as if they're iron stations, so I dread to think what would happen to iron stations right now. I've also got weapons that have half decent range, so away goes most things at good range. I would still rather have the cargo hauler follow me around and grab the goods, but It didn't have enough range, and it was too immovable. I didn't like waiting on it. That said, I don't like flying around with a giant... Oh, Christ, I'm not actually picking things up, am I? Let's change that. There we go. No point raiding if I'm coming away with nothing, huh? Look at that. Look at all those goods coming towards me. Delightfully stolen goods. Yeah, geez, you really need to specialize a space dock, don't you? Because this stuff fills up fast. It's good, though. I do like my money for nothing. So yes, having a floating cargo freighter that comes with me and specializes in the cargo freighting rather than the weapons is really good. I just need to refine it. And I think I have refined it. I still need to test out how my new design will work, but once I have some additional trinium, I'll be able to test that out. For now, though, we just float around with our own little cargo bay, helping us out. No, nothing little about it. This ship has a tumor. It's not a tumor! It's a cargo bay. Cargo bay we kind of need. It is certainly hamming into my maneuverability, though. And leaving me wishing that I had slightly more weapons on the underside of my ship. So there we go. Eliminating the ships in the region. Gets rid of their hyperspace staller on me. And I'm thinking, just how much did I get out of that already? Jeez. Poor cargo hold is being pushed. Oh well, keep on keeping on. Is it a case that I'm actually using too many shields here? Yeah, there's probably more shields than I need. The question is always, you know, what subsystems can be ditched for what sorts of operations. But over here we've got turret factories, chemical factories. Those are going down. The plastic manufactories and the corn and that's not worth my time. Not worth my precious cargo space. I want to be pregnant with coffee and breakfast, but again, warm and cozy. Well, I'm certainly warm and cozy here, but I ain't pregnant and I don't have any coffee. Ah, you there. Turret factory. A question might be, how do you know what's worth blowing up and what's not? A bit of common sense. Is a good going to be a bulky, low-value thing? Corn, plastics, ores? Yeah. Metal and aluminium and zinc, gold, platinum, those can carry some decent value to weight ratio. But the problem is, mines are very bulky in terms of hull. Multi-millions, because they're giant clumps of rock. And on top of that, some of my weapons don't even work on rock. So it's just not time effective to blow them up and steal their cargo. It's actually more effective to hijack the station. That way you get that station, not for free, in fact it's actually very expensive, but at least you don't have to go and found your own mine for it. Found and find. Now over there we got the plastic manufacturer that is not worthy of my time, but there's a turret factory supplier that I'm very interested in. Just like I'm interested in all this fat loot coming towards me. Feels good. There's going to be a lot of raiding like this, so I'm glad it is something in the game that does feel good. Also, I'm starting to feel like I did not skimp on the shields. Look at that, they've already taken out 14% of my shields. And these are filthy titanium people. But that's right, we do need to board a ship for the achievement. It will be done eventually, and it'll probably get to the case where I do steal factories. Not factories, but some stations. I see the shield mod coming in handy already. Yeah, so I put on a mod to visually change the shields. And I didn't like it because it was still too obtrusive. I want to be able to see my ship, not just a hazy, blocky blur. But now, you know, I can tell that I have overshields, but it's not getting in the way of seeing my gorgeous tumor-infested ship. No, not a tumor. I always find ammunition's not very great price to bulk. The larger it is, the bulkier it is, and that's not a great price to bulk value. away it all goes. Ah, one discovery from the other day. No, my ship is busy. Wait, where is my... Oh, he's refining, isn't he? Yes, he is. So, yesterday, I was thinking, hey, I can procure Rift research data, a way to get it in bulk, a scalable way to get my bulky goods. However, the time that it took was ridiculous, hundreds of hours to get myself the goods. And I wondered, what in the world's going on with that? There's this weird thing going on when you try to procure an item. If you have a smuggler merchant, then the smuggling thing gets locked in. But if they're not smuggler and they are a merchant, then you can buy normally. And buying normally, for whatever reason, is orders of magnitude faster than stealing. And that's fine, because if I steal them, I'd have to unbrand them anyway. So all I need to do is put in a regular merchant captain, and then I'll be able to procure Rift research data at a reasonable rate. I think I could get 10,000 in about 4 hours. And that's pretty good. And that's a fine rate. It's a whole lot faster than procuring it through doing the bleeding missions. So that'll be done, but that'll only be done when I have oodles of money. Until then, I still want to procure a few thousand more Rift research data the old-fashioned way. Which is to say, blow up the research station and take it. And I do still want more, because those research station modules are so good. I thought I had an extra bulwark, but I actually do not have an extra bulwark. Well, of course it doesn't show up here, but yeah, I thought I had another impenetrable shield device. I don't. Except for an Aegis, but that doesn't count. So it'll be on my to-do list to grab more of that. Grabbing is certainly what we're doing a lot of here. I do not want to destroy that solar power plant. Solar power is a fool's errand. I want to destroy that trading post and that turret factory. So trading post to go. Solar powered or solar factories create energy cells, which are very low value and relatively bulky for it. So I don't want to waste my time with them. I think they've got a regular price of about 50 credits each. And when we sell stolen goods, we sell them at 1/4 value, which is far from great. There's our beloved Tank Z, getting us some iron, some titanium, and allowing us to check. So yeah, for example, I wanted to procure, and I wanted to procure Rift research data. There we go. But if I wanted to get 10,000 of it, it would take 113 hours. Pretty sure that takes 4 hours if it's just a regular merchant captain instead of a merchant smuggler. Because for whatever reason this is broken, I can't turn off procure goods illegally. You know, I could actually look and see if that's something that can be fixed in modding the game. I have been poking around more and more in the game's Lua files. Do not destroy that gas collector. I don't want gas. Yes, I was hoping for more surprise of Avorion, says Ali, whilst Finn chips in saying, is there anything surprising about this? I suppose the only surprise is that it took me until midday to fire up the stream today. But I had to venture outside, remind myself of the world that I live in. Went out to market and bought myself some grapefruits and apples and chicken legs and whatever else. Under the perhaps delusional idea that I'll tear myself away from Avorion long enough this evening to do some cooking. Want to cook up some chicken with apple tonight. But that's assuming I ever get hungry. How could one ever feel hunger or any other human emotion when Avorion is here to augment my very mind? And I know this is a bit of a curb stomp, but it feels so empowering. It's like shooting a dead body. That turret factory is the other end of the sector, but I'll still make the journey. This thing might be slow to accelerate, but it does still reach a reasonable top speed. And not only that, it's got a good amount of power, so I can maintain this speed. Look at that. 2.345. I dread to think what my deceleration is. What is it actually? I decelerate at 68 meters per second. That's actually faster than my acceleration. But that's both thrusters and dampeners working to slow this ship down. Starting to sound like a meth addict. I don't think meth was the drug of choice in Scotland. Plenty of poppers going around. Heroin, I think. Heroin? Yeah, I remember this advertisement for it on the radio. Well, not for doing it, but for getting off of it. Maybe if anyone's tuning in from Scotland, they can remember this. I'm nae addicted to heroin. I've only smoked it once. I'm nae addicted to heroin. I only smoke it once a week. I'm nae addicted. I only smoke it once a day. I'm nae addicted. I've only injected it once. Dreadful to think of the childhood advertisements from TV and radio that are lodged in my head and will never go away. Although some give me a good giggle, like the Scottish broadband advert. If you ever need a good indicator of Scots in Scotland, that's a good place to start. I think it's on YouTube just as Scottish broadband. Well worth a quick giggle. Alright, Decare, are you a bit pot-bellied? I think you are. Unfortunately, I enraged some smugglers around here, but fortunately, there are always more smugglers ready and willing to do business with me. However, we turn off our guns. Made that mistake before. Turn off guns before going into a friendly smuggler area. They don't appreciate you immediately destroying nearby non-military freighters. Even the smugglers have standards. Look at those. Those are both freighters, and if I do nasty things to them, the smugglers will not enjoy that. Which is understandable. They're trying to run legit. Where's the smuggler down anyway? There we go. Turret control system, flawless chain gun. I'll take it. I've got a lot of crappy iron weapons that I'm going to need to trash. Although, what manner I'd trash them? I'll probably just sell them for money. I don't even think I'll feed them into the research thing. Just straight up liquidate them for cash. I just want them out of my inventory. Am I being shot at? By you? I'll just continue to let him tickle me. I don't want to cause any fuss around here. Why are mining stations so much bulkier than other stations? Because they're built into asteroids, and asteroids, like this thing here, are just enormous chunks of rock, which are incredibly slow to move. Build your ship out of rock and that thing is not going to move, but they add a tremendous amount of hit point value to the hull. So it's a good way to have stations that are not going to be destroyed even if you accidentally the whole sector. So a lot of stations that I build will be built out of rock. On top of that, rock is relatively cheap to build. Now I don't want to unbrand any of this. The only thing I'm interested in unbranding are Rift research datas. That might change later on. There may be a day in the future where I want to unbrand certain stolen goods, but that'll be once I build a turret factory. And that's still a ways away, because I'm more interested in getting mines set up, especially this session. So there'll be a time when I go around searching for giant asteroids to claim. I'll turn them into mines, I'll move them into sectors which have very high demand for the mines, and then I will leave them to automagically generate me fat stacks of cash. And that fat stacks of cash will be rolled right into more mines until I have mines that just automatically make me magical amounts of money. That was a 30 million credit run. Good grief, I could buy the trinium I need for my floating USB stick. Although I'm not in the area to get it, so I'm not going to go out of my way like that. Anything else here worth destroying? Turret factories, paint manufacturers, nanobots and transformators. Yes, please. Despite me being convinced that the AI do rebuild, we've yet to see any indication that they're rebuilding any of those sectors around me. In short version of what Jake said, everything should be mine. Did I say anything other than that? Oh, right, guns need to go back on. go. It always feels nice to pop a sector and suddenly make it into a hazard zone, especially when it's my sworn enemies. The people here probably think, what in God's name did we ever do to you? Because I rolled in here, declared war on them immediately, and have been harassing them ever since, if by mass genocide we mean harassing. But look at them, they get the Berlin Light show on me. These guys seem to love using those laser weapons. Does that count as laser? Beam weapons, perhaps. Now give me your goodies. Mineral extractor I don't care so much about, but that nanobot factory. Senator Armstrong is driving the demand for it. Well, you're the equivalent of the many pirates we cross out there. Oh, influenced by my environment yet again. Miner Trinium 1 has finished mining and awaits my command. Very good. They know to wait. Keep on mining around here. Bring your friends and do it for 1 hour at 3%. How I wish I could do more, and how I wish I could put on safe mode and forget about you, but I'm not willing to take the massive reduction in resource acquisition. But I do turn on immediate delivery. I tried modding the files to always have immediate delivery toggled on for me, but I couldn't find a way that didn't break the UI. I think even when I take my weekend off, I'll still be spending my time not playing Avorion, but modding Avorion. Figuring how to get rid of some of the UI hassles. I'm storing my mod on the Google Drive, and maybe when all is said and done, and I feel satisfied with it, I'll put it on the workshop. But I'd probably have to remove all the other plagiarized mods. I actually don't know what what's the consensus on that. If you use a mod that just folds in somebody else's mod, is that okay? Do you have to give credit? Is it a big deal? You know, the modding scene has always been a free and open one, but with the advent of paid modding becoming more of a thing, I could imagine that being a bit of a problem. Stolen helium. Who's going to have a need for that? Look at that, helium is actually quite bulky and quite worthless, but with a cargo size the size of what we have, it's not too much overhead to just take it. Usually says in the mod page what to do. Most are cool with giving credit. But I want to channel my inner Morshoe. Yeah, I've only uploaded one thing, maybe 2 or 3. But there's only one thing I can remember having ever uploaded to Steam Workshop. And it was a mod for Crusader Kings 3. There was this annoying thing where a certain interaction wouldn't work in a certain circumstance, so I wrote a very simple mod that just made it work. And the moment you start getting comments on it about updating or making it better, I just think, ugh, I only made this for me. I don't want to feel the... Obligation is not the right word, but I just want to fire and forget. I do empathize with them though. I've certainly had plenty of mods, especially with RimWorld, where I'm like, this mod is great, and then it becomes outdated, and it's like, I want it fixed, but obviously the guy behind it's gone AWOL and nobody's picked it up. So I totally see where they're coming from, but I don't want to maintain it. I just made it for me. I'd update it if I was still playing, but I challenge you, give me a reason to play CK3. Because I have yet to find one. God, I love seeing all those goods just roll on in. Don't want any of these. Well, you know what? I think I'll take on the paint manufacturer. Where's the paint? I don't actually know what value paint has in space. And it's a very strange trade good. I can't think of anything that uses paint in the game. I totally see Von Dougal's point of view though. Von Dougal's was the brilliant mind behind, well, is, I don't think he's dead. He's the brilliant mind behind some of the Long Dark mods that we enjoyed using. Things like pressing Q to drop your items, some really nice quality of life menu stuff. Being able to see your cargo capacity on the UX. So good. UI, not UX. But again, he's like, well, I just want to make these as is, not continue to feel obligated to support them. I totally see that point of view. What are your goals for today? Sure enough, I wrote my to-do list. Pillage the primitives, I'm doing that right now. There's going to be a lot of it though. I want hundreds of millions. Although admittedly one run of pillaging already got me 300 million credits. But it takes about 20 million credits to fully establish a mine. And I'd like to end today with about 10 mines. Oh god, somebody with Jake in their name is asking for help in this sector, but you have to understand I'm so far away. Paint is clearly used to camouflage your ship. Just paint it black with little bright dots. That reminds me of something. Yeah. Yeah, I've got something of an idea then. This ship is frankly too bulky, especially with this cargo hold that I put on it. And I was wondering, what's the problem? The problem is I've been scaling up the same ship design, which means big bulky parts of the ship are also being scaled up when they probably shouldn't. So once I'm out of combat, I think I shall fix that. And that's another 2 or 3 sectors of raiding away. I am going to check. I'm going to check on you to see that you didn't rebuild. And after that, 2 trading posts and some other good places to go. I'll go here. Only enough room in this galaxy for one Jake. Yeah, they doesn't look like they've rebuilt anything. Okay, I'll still leave it be. There is code in this game for factions to rebuild their sectors. But for the love of God, I don't think I've ever seen it in action. Alright, this should be an easy one. Oh, but there's a neutral faction here. The Wabo. Hello, Wabo. Who and where are the Wabo? You're the Wabo. You wouldn't happen to have any Rift research, would you? No, they don't. Although there's all this Rift. Surely it could be researched. I should get an explorer looking around the other side, and I think I will. The Wabo won't like it if I destroy any civilian ships, but there aren't any here. It's all just frigates. The Wabo. Was the naming convention done by Elma Fudd? For a game I'm making, I use a lot of assets from the public domain and open game art. It's good practice to note down all the URLs of stuff you intend to use and see if you can honor the original license, if any, before you commit. Oh heavens, yes. Measure twice, cut once. It's true physically, and it's very true for creation. Even though some stuff is considered copyleft or free, some licenses require attribution for the product to be released with a similar license. Yeah, but then you just outsource to the Chinese and they'll ignore that for you. Haven't forgotten that wonderful reveal from Paradox. I think that was like a crummy Stellaris mobile game that just used stolen assets. From Halo, if I recall. It's like you can even see the warthogs in the picture here. What was the community message again? Let's not attribute to malice what could easily be attributed to a mistake. What a smokescreen. I was working there at the time, so I probably shouldn't comment on that, but you know. I haven't worked at Paradox now for almost half a decade. What are they going to do to me? I don't even live in the country. In fact, I've almost fully divorced Sweden. Shut down my company there as well. The only thing I really have attaching me to Sweden is my nationality and my driver's license. I'm not really sure I want a Hungarian driver's license. The Paperwork in this country is already too much of a nightmare, but Swedish paperwork is strangely short-lived. Even a passport in Sweden only lasts for 5 years. And that passport is very important to me. A reminder that we all make mistakes. There we go. Of all the grinds that this game's going to have, this is one of the more enjoyable ones for sure. Feels good just grabbing all those goods. It feels good. There's very satisfying explosions on the ships that you shoot at here. Some games are... they just don't catch that visceral feeling of destroying your foe. System Shock 2023 comes to mind, actually. You got some enemies in System Shock, and they just fall like paper plates once you defeat them. There's no sense of satisfaction from a job well purged. Resource, fighter, steel, wire, tools. Yeah, I'd rather like all of that. I want my jumps to be somewhat efficient. I have plenty to clean up while I'm there. Jake, you're making a lot of cash, but could you be making more? Yes, I could. This cash that I am making will be funneled into making more cash. I currently have one very lucrative mine. I will probably upgrade it to 4 after I'm done this this run. Hello, what's all this? Trinium mine has goods. Ah, all the lucky commanders all give me lucky commander drops on missions. That's cool. However, I don't think they get experience unless they're the main one. Look at this guy. Oh, well, maybe don't look at him. Or that guy. Oh, cool, they do all get experience. I'll be diddled. I thought that only the main captain got experience. Well, that's good. So, captains have tiers and levels. I finally read up about the difference. The tier is just basically tells you how good they are when they start. Although not necessarily. The higher the tier captain, the more likely it is that they have more good traits and fewer bad traits. But you could get lucky and find a tier 1 captain that still has good traits. But the level indicates how powerful those traits are. So if you level up that stealthiness, you're going to be even less likely to be ambushed while on the job. You know what? I need to depart for a moment. I'm going to put you on attack all enemies. So I take a quick water break. I will BRB. There we go, and I see Mataz is asking, in 25 words or fewer, what is this? First 2 words are going to fewer, not less, but... Lower budget X4 or Star Sector, heavy emphasis on building ships block by block. That should do it, and if you don't know what Star Sector or X4 are, or I suppose X3 or anything similar, then too bad. Autopilot uses up my precious torpedoes. That said, look at the amount of torpedoes I have and have space for. I guess they're not that precious. Yeah, it's no big deal. I barely ever use my torpedoes, so I don't mind it. I don't think there's any way to change the torpedoes you pick up. It would be nice if I only picked up EMP torpedoes, because I love them. Maybe there is a setting for that. Right, wire is terrible. Steel, I wouldn't say is terrible. So I think, after I grab those goods, I'm going to go and see if I can't alleviate some of that steel. Because steel is actually a... what would you call it? There's so many goods, right? You've got the base goods. Scrap metals, ores, noble metals, heliums, gases. But then there are goods that require other goods to produce, but are also used by other things themselves, and steel is one of the biggest examples of that. Steel can be made by two ways, I believe. You can turn scrap metal and coal into steel, or you can do something else, and I forget the other setup, but we'll almost certainly be using scrap metal and coal, because that's the cheapest way to make steel, and no matter how cheap you make your steel, it's still the same steel. You can specify the torpedoes you have equipped and then bind it to the number key like weapons so the autopilot won't use them. Ah. That doesn't bother me. Like I said, I have no real use for torpedoes. I don't like their one-use aspect, and frankly I don't think they do enough damage to justify their existence unless you have the super amazing ones, and in which case the one-use only is a big turn-off. Grab the scrap iron, grab 2,211 steel. Now let's see, stolen Matthew steel. I'm curious about its value. I'm curious about the paint as well. Look at that! Paint has a surprisingly good credit value, but at size 1, that's not amazing. Stolen steel. Oh, whoa, what? In what world is steel half the value of a tub of paint? A litre of steel or a litre of paint? There's some madness in this world. I really thought steel would be worth more than that. And that's important because I'm going to have some steel factories later on. Steel is a prerequisite for so many things. I don't know how many steel factories I'm going to need, but I'm going to assume lots. You can keep your solar power plant. Oh, hello. It's your fault for staying around when you're not welcome. So it's war, is it? Paint is actually quite expensive in the real world. Is that really true? Not a big fan of paint. I was once working in a place that had just finished painting, and I gotta say that was a very nauseous work day. One of my colleagues just had to go home and throw up afterwards. Alright, that's enough destruction around here. I will eventually make amends with these people, but not now. Actually, they're running out of sectors to give me things of value. Where can I even go from here? Let's see what they have over here. As for my explorers, please... Oh, there's a rift here. That's good. Find me some rift research stations to utterly annihilate, please. Meanwhile, I can maybe finish off a second square to fully explore. What an exciting prospect. We could be 2% done with the galaxy map. 100 euros per litre for high quality paint. Paint is expensive. 15 euros for half a litre of good quality. Rust-proof paint. It's robbery. What do we have in here? Coal mines, noble metal mines. I wouldn't mind taking out a noble metal mine. But their hull, look at that, 9 million hull. Look at this bad boy here. Noble metals. Now don't get me wrong, it's probably got some good metals for me, but I'm not sitting around to do 9 million hull damage to rock. So that's the ultimate way to defend yourself from my attacks. Just have stations that I don't want to blow up. Essentially give yourself good hull and you'll be fine. Pew. Feels good to be able to quickly jump around as well. I think rather than blindly jump, it's better to wreak havoc in a faction that I know a lot about. But wreaking havoc does feel good. I'm going to check here, and then I'm going to go back to a smuggler place, make my dosh, and then carry on. Although to what capacity do I carry on, I wonder? This will be some money, but it's nowhere near as much money as I want or need. Not for my tasks, at least. Also, why didn't I give myself an even bigger cargo bay? This personal cargo thing isn't too shabby, honestly. Maybe I don't need the additional guy. Although later on, I think when I have a proper posse, when I have multiple ships going around, I will almost certainly want big cargo man with me. Wait, what did I even blow up? I'm sure it's of little consequence to me. Whoever it is, they had fluorine, energy containers, corn, vegetables, such a variety of goods. It was probably a resource depot. No, not that. A trading depot. Here's the resource depot. Come and get me, ships. Yeah, I played Kenshi. I don't like it. Not a very polished experience of a game. It does do interesting things, but I don't want to actively be feeling pain whilst trying to play a game. Okay, getting full up as well, so I should be able to make another good 30-odd million off of this, especially when I see those stolen servos. It's a little tempting not to sell the servos, but instead unbrand them so that I can use them for making custom turrets, but I'm a little far away from that for now. There is another idea that says unbrand all the goods and then use my merchant to sell them. I would probably make more money. That's not the worst idea, but it's a bit of a hassle. It's even more of a hassle if my merchant is unable to find a place to sell them, because then he just says, "Oh, I can't do that, boss." And the experience of actually getting him to do that is a pain. You're the merchant, you're the captain. I don't care if you don't sell at a good rate. Figure out where to do it. These ships are very smart to keep dodging around my slow-moving turrets. Unfortunately for them, they don't all move fast enough. Be gone. Get myself a fat load of module loots. I don't really care much about the... You know what? I might blow up these smugglers just to establish dominance. I got enough cargo space for whatever they have. I don't like the fact that they turned on me. All I did was shoot down one crummy little passenger. Or non-combatant. Not very polished is generous. Dark Young got big into that game, which kind of surprised me. I think for him it was a bit of a power fantasy. He could very much mistreat his custom-made people in that game. I know that because I saw him make me in that game, and he immediately made me fight naked against some giant monster which ripped my limbs off. All the while he goes, oh Jake, oh, you can do it, buddy. I believe in you. Just watch myself get torn apart. But you know, everyone wants something out of games. If he gets his jollies, more power to him. I just started messing with it. It's certainly clunky, but maybe a fun story generator. I've got RimWorld as my fun story generator. And I've largely gotten over RimWorld's pain points because I either learnt the game or have modded away the pain points. I've never written any modding for RimWorld. Well, I would either. There's already a bajillion mods for it that do almost everything I could want. This will actually be the first faction that we eliminate, I think. Sorry, friend, I've got the bigger ship. You cannot hurt me. Ramming is actually a way to really do damage in this game. Fired up a game to actually test out some ramming strats. It can be hard to hit somebody, but if you're bigger than them, you can truly crush an enemy's health by ramming into them. Don't ship. Shame. Oh, nice. The smuggler hideout has a surprisingly low hull at only 2.8 million. As long as I somewhat target the non-rocky parts of it, we should be able to do some good damage. And so yeah, this is what they get for turning on me. I also... People were asking, what does a smuggler's hideout have as loot? And we're about to find out, aren't we? We are. And I got space for that loot as well. There we go, and the bit of time that this is going to take, and it is going to take a bit of time, gives me an opportunity to check the loot that we have achieved lately. The weapons are all going to be gash. Although some of them might not be too gash that I can't use them on my my automated ship. I'm interested in subsystems that I picked up here though. A Sphinx. No real good exotic stuff here, but some exceptional level stuff. The lower jump range but hyperspace cooldown granting jumpers on our turret slots. More LACs. I actually want to melt these down and make a legendary one. After all, I'm always going to be using an LEC on any of my main ships, so I might as well have the mainest of main ships have a legendary tier 1. Legendary tier modules I don't have any of aside from the artifacts, and those are pretty much a given. Are they daring to attack me? Well, that's why I put a gun on the underbelly of my ship. It's having a hard time shooting around my cargo bay, but it is attacking. And this smuggler's den is half dead. What a cool game. I really like Avorion. It was fun to see that when I'd finished playing Avorion yesterday, I had 3 people on my friends list also playing Avorion. I won't name and shame, but fair play to them. 2 million hull to grind. That's not a big grind though, this thing will be dead in a minute flat. I'd love a way to quickly check off all these things